Thank you all for tuning in to 15 Minutes with Dad. My name is Lyric. We are here with Joe Banks. This is part 4 of the 15 Minutes with Dad presents Healing series. Thank y'all for tuning in. We're about to get into it. It's going to be crazy. Y'all take care. If you have not, make sure that you go and you visit YouTube to go and like at 15 Minutes with Dad. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification, get that bell so you can get notification every time that we drop a new episode. This healing series is fire, y'all. I want to see y'all every episode. We're here with Joe Banks this time. And make sure that y'all visit us at 15minuteswithdad.com to go and take that pledge and watch any episode. You can watch all of our episodes. Make sure you get a tap into our merch. We love y'all. Catch y'all back here in a second. Right. And what I've learned over the last 15 years is that you're going to learn how to be the father that your child needs if you are listening. If you are readily available for them and you are listening and you are raising them, because we don't obviously know. I would argue that no parent knows how to be a parent. So y'all need to stop acting like y'all got it all together. We don't. We learn how to parent the child that we. If you can, to be a good parent or be a good father, you got to father the way your child needs you to be a father, not on how anybody else has taught you to be a father, not on any information you've ever had. You can like pull and tweak and take things from different places that might have worked, try it out. It may stick and it may not, but be mindful that you may screw all of it up. And so, raising a daughter, it's been a challenge because it's a daughter. Like I was a hoe bag.
Still am.
Yeah, I was out there. I was in these streets, man, and I hurt a lot of hearts too. And I learned that after I went through, going through my mental health journey, it was like I had a void. It was a void. My lack of dad, my lack of father. I had a void that I always tried to fill, and I just filled it with. And then my grandma passed away. It got worse. Because she raised me, and then that was like my mom. She just
I can relate. Yeah.
Void, big void, and I was just filling people in. Anybody close to me, I try to put a box in a circle, a square, or like a cube in a circle kind of thing. And I say all that to say, when I had I'm expecting my son in a couple weeks, and when I say that same fear that you have came rushing back soon as that news was news, it came rushing back because I'm like, I know how to be a father to a daughter, but now I have to be what my dad could. I have to be an image. Immediately I was thinking I don't know if it's a natural thing to kind of reverberate back to or try to reminisce on okay, do I have any memories of a father?
Yeah.
Or do I have any memories or is there a person that information that I can pull from to be ready for this son? And that same feeling you mentioned came rushing back because I'm like, how do I be a father to a son? Am I going to be it's going to expose me in a different way because being a father to a daughter exposes a man, if you're a father to a daughter, it exposes you in so many ways. It makes you challenge your manhood in so many ways. And I'm glad I had a daughter first before I had a son because now I can teach my son what I learned from raising a daughter on how to treat a woman and how to treat a young lady.
That makes sense, yeah.
I can teach my son to be a better man. And I'm coming, and that's where I think I kind of learned, I was like, okay, maybe I don't have reference to be a father to a son from my dad, but I can at least I interact with women and if you're not, everything else about being a man doesn't even matter unless it's being looked at from the viewpoint of the women in your life.
You can even break it down to okay, yeah, I'm learning this stuff from women, and you're saying you learn how to basically communicate better. Having a daughter or raising a daughter, that okay, well maybe it's not so much the fact that well, how do I communicate with a son a male, or like maybe even if you lack that male reference,
Right.
you like, okay, but it worked though. Like whatever the communication methods that you learned by raising a daughter, like why wouldn't it work for anybody else?
He needs that same.
Yeah,
stuff.
like I learned, just from having, learning how to build healthier relationships, that like, okay, these communication methods that we're practicing, me and my fiance, like, okay, they transition over to like me communicating boundaries with this family that like, no, I'm very confident in this boundary that I'm setting like right now, or friends or coworkers, other partners. Like it doesn't really matter where you learn your communication style. Like you'll get the practice in, so you can break it away from the gender tropes, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
And then like feel free to like, open yourself up to like, okay, it's fine to ask your son, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? Like, that really sucks.
And so my plus sons, I do that with. I practice on they're my test subjects. So I have
you're the trial run.
Yeah, I have 2 plus sons. I have a 9-year-old and a toddler. He's 3 years old. And
I like that, plus sons.
Yeah. Okay. I don't like the step stuff.
No, I like that a lot.
Yeah, plus sons, and I told him immediately, don't call me stepdad. I'm not your stepdad. I'm not stepping anywhere. I'm a plus dad. And we have his name is Abraham, but he has a podcast as well. If y'all haven't watched it, make sure y'all go tune into AB the Positive Kid. You can find him on YouTube. You're gonna find him on his website. He has merch as well. He likes to put all these positive lessons to kids. It's really a beautiful thing, but I get to test on them on giving them the space to be vulnerable. I probably focus more on building them to be vulnerable more than anything. I give them words to use to describe their emotions, and to dive into that a little bit. There was this moment where I was sitting in this office, and I seen this diagram of all the words to describe emotions, right? I feel like I knew 5 of them. There were probably like 50 to 60 words in this circular pie graph, and it was like so detailed. And I learned that, or like not learned that, but I kind of watched a few things when I started asking these questions about how we express, right, comes from the lack of having the words to describe what it is that we're feeling. If we only have mad, sad, angry,
the typical words
anxious,
that you would find in a first grade book report.
Right. Yeah. Like if we only have those, we're gonna react like we're gonna box ourselves in on reaction and never really get out what we're trying to express, what we have to express.
We end up generalizing the feeling.
Right. So now I use like melancholy. I'm trying to go into the dictionary to really describe so that I'm not boxing myself to being sad, mad, happy. And I feel like a lot of you may even feel that whenever you're like trying to talk about emotions or express emotions, you're like, what is this thing that I'm feeling? There's so many middle points to really describe how we feel, but we don't necessarily have the vocabulary to do it. So and as kids, and I try this with my toddler, as kids, he calms down faster when I give him a word to describe how he feels. And I asked him and said, instead of saying like, are you okay? I don't like using it. I don't like saying, and I think my girlfriend used that easily. She was like, are you okay? And he would say, yeah. I'd be like, but I was like, hey, are you sad? Like when he's like catching tantrums, like, are you sad? Are you upset? And I just name all these different words, and he's like, yeah, and I'm upset. And then he calms down. As soon as he says the word and says, yeah, he agrees with what I'm saying, he completely calms down, and we go back to our regular day lives.
I love that.
Man, it's powerful.
I'm gonna take that one.
It's powerful.
You can copyright, but I'll say hey, Lyric had this idea.
I'll license it out to you.
I'll tell you when me and fiance
shout out to fiance.
Hey fiance, love you. Let's get married.
Yes.
We've had talks where, especially how we have our relationship. We have so many things going on. We feel so much, but we don't have the word for it. And especially for on the Melanin podcast, we talk about navigating non-traditional relationships because we're polyamorous. So there's these feelings that we might have when it comes to us seeing multiple people. And there's no word that you, like you said, you described, like there's a circle with a bajillion different, basically synonyms or
Right.
like, tiers of sadness or happiness that, okay, we don't have to have a word for it. In fact, we can make up one. And because of how crazy our lives have been, that like we have an example or like some anecdote or story or like happening that we can reference that, and it's a feeling now.
Right.
Like, okay, you remember that time we did ABC? Remember that time I got stranded on an island? Remember that time that, old dude spilled a drink? Like that
Right.
feeling like right there,
Right.
whatever it is, or we'll just make a word, we'll Dr. Seuss it.
Right.
And like, okay, that's fine. And even that's like our language, like right there.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, it's like it's fine. Like it doesn't have to be a Webster Merriam word. Just okay. Like, but it's us finding ways to not overgeneralize because we don't have a traditional relationship, so we are not going to have traditional feelings sometimes.
Right. Right.
Or then even say even as your kids growing up, but like there's a we're gonna have an idea of what they might be particularly feeling, but we'll never really know. So maybe that's still like give them the chance to really express that feeling, and that's something that maybe even you as a parent can communicate together with, if that makes sense. Like,
right. No, I get that.
yeah,
I get that. So let's as we bring things to a close here, where are you now? Like in regards to like I know that you mentioned earlier that your father's set to get out in August or September, was
September.
it September? To get out in September, you still trying to navigate that space on whether or not you're going to engage or set boundaries in how he may play a part in your life. Where are you? How do you feel right now internally? Not necessarily about him, but like as far as like as you move forward after having this conversation and moving forward through your journey of life. How do you feel internally? Just on like, and it doesn't have to be general. It could be as specific or general as you want. But I would just like to know like what are your feelings right now in regards to not just him, but just overall.
So, still pretty fresh feeling, but I can love my father. I can love him because I want to. I can forgive him because I need to for myself.
Say that again. What do we say? Say that.
I forgive him because I need it for myself. It doesn't minimize the harm that he's done to me and anyone else around him.
Wow, man.
But I can recognize that I love you enough to say, I don't need you. I know where I need you in my life right now, and it's right at this point. You are not a part of my life in this season. And then when it's time for you to come out, then like that may be the case still, but it's my call. I feel like I've gotten to a point, especially with, therapy and having an amazing, fiance and just a really good support circle that, if I'm feeling a particular way, one way or the other, I can just really express that out. I can, talk to my mom about it. Sometimes I know there's a boundary between on how much we talk about that just for her sake, but his life and how he decides he's going to navigate his life upon his release is not a determining factor in how I'm going to live my life.
Okay.
And that was a really big revelation because I realized that's what I was making a lot of my decisions on. Deciding to let myself fall in love and actually build a healthy relationship, not just it's bad and I want to run away from this and just say I'm sorry. My decision to it's this fiance of mine, Tiffany. She
Shout out.
Hi Tiffany, love you. Let's get married. The first person that's really opened me up to the idea of having kids, and I'd never thought I was more of one that just hey I'll adopt, so maybe that's still on the cards, but this is someone that I would want to do that with. We've had that talk too.
That's beautiful.
That just why should this past of mine hinder me from doing whatever I'd like to do for myself and the people I care about? So I have a podcast, I have a show, Rising, and I am going for, these things that I want these things for myself, not to show him up like I can do this better.
Right.
So like, sure, I'll think of him, and I'll even recognize that I'm doing something because of his influence, positive or negative, but like I'm doing things like more for myself. So that's where I'm at like right now. I'm doing things because I want to.
Nice.
And that hole that I was trying to fill where I thought it would be him, it's like, okay, that wasn't the case. It was confidence in myself that I thought I needed to find from him or from somebody else or in somebody's bed
Right.
or from somebody's heart.
Right.
It's like suddenly I've had to look into myself and like, there it is.
You said you basically took the power from your dad has manipulated a lot of lives in his time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you was like, you know what? I'm taking that power away from you by loving you because I want to, forgiving you because I need to, and placing you in a place where you aren't in control. Like, I'm not doing anything to show you out. I'm not doing anything to make you feel like you messed up as a father. It was like, no, I'm going to be me that I decided to be. You found your identity with or without your father, and you know that he exists. He exists, but he isn't he doesn't have power, the same power he had in your life, whether it be by his absence or his presence. And that's powerful, man. That is powerful to even one, put it in words to say like, yo, like,
Took practice, but yeah.
man, how do you be like, it's like, I'm going to be great because I'm great.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm melanated and I'm
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for trusting me with this, with your story. Thank you for coming on here and being vulnerable with us. I love this conversation, man. This has been a very, I've learned, because I'm thinking of bringing my dad on this show. He's in Houston, so I have to, it might be virtual, but I really think that I'll bring my dad on this show. Whether or not he would come on would be a different story, but I'm going to present it. And if not, then I'm going to tell my story the way I tell my story.
Well, let me know how I can support you in that too.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. But thank you for joining us, man. Golly.
Be here. Yes.
This is beautiful, Joe.
I told you we were gonna have a lot of fun. Like, it's like all this heavy stuff. Like, yeah.
So
We're good.
if you guys have watched this beautiful conversation that I've had with Joe, thank you for tuning in to 15 Minutes with Dad, where we go deep into topics about empowering, connecting, and supporting fatherhood, whether it's how we interact with our fathers or it's how fathers interact with our kids. And here, Joe today came to us as a son to have this conversation with you all and share this information. I'm hoping that you all have something constructive to provide to this conversation. If you have any questions, make sure you drop it in the comments. We're going to talk about it, and I could bring Joe on the show again right down the street. You know what I'm saying? We could bring him on the show again and we can talk more about this, but I love this conversation. Love, peace, and chicken grease, y'all. Y'all take care. That's my Audi, man. Love, peace, and chicken grease.